Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to the weekend. Hope everyone's enjoying this beautiful Saturday, June 15th, 2024. It's about 12:40 p.m. here, California time. Live stream is back up and running. It went down here just a few hours ago. So just a heads up on that. Latest earthquake activity here on the globe does show a 2.2 into the Alaska area. Also notice here on the globe, got a pretty decent swarm of activity there in the Hawaii region, and most of this activity occurring way down here underneath the Pahala area, about 35 kilometers deep for this swarm. Of course, this is the area that's seen a 4.1 earthquake yesterday, and a lot of earthquake activity here recently underneath this region. If you didn't get a chance to check out the article I posted here last night about why there's so many earthquakes in this area and why it's been going on so long, in fact, it's been observed here since about the 1960s, as far as this deep earthquake activity. And there's some indications here that this is further magma flowing up from the deeper areas below that could recharge or at least amplify conditions there across Kilauea Volcano and Mauna Loa Volcano there on the Big Island. So got to watch that. Obviously, things are still quite inflated there across the Kilauea Volcano area. Just a little short reading here where they interpreted that the location here with the hotspot, of course, Hawaii's a hotspot, right? Obviously, we can track that back throughout the ages. You can see it moving across the plate here. Well, it's the Pacific plate moving across the hotspot zone, and ultimately that's what forms the new land out here. And eventually we'll see further islands out and about in this area way in the future. Who knows what the Earth would be like that far down the road. But obviously a hot spot, and the hot spot that created the island there currently rises beneath Hawaii. This observation supported the earlier hypothesis that the area of deep seismicity, like we're seeing right now, likely indicates a magma source that feeds the active volcanoes, Kilauea Volcano and Mauna Loa. Using other modern computer algorithms to pour through seismic data traces, the USGS researchers back in 2015 characterized three main types of earthquakes in this region, right? You got short period, long period, and tremor activity that occurs down there. They interpreted that the seismicity to be at the top of a deep magma body that leads to a deep fault zone, which may indicate a magma transport pathway feeding Kilauea Volcano. So we'll have to watch that here in the coming days, coming weeks, coming months here, see if things don't get amplified. We're already at an elevated level here in terms of inflation across the Kilauea Volcano. This activity, again, occurring deep down into the area underneath this region. Got to watch the Lower East Seamount as well, right? This is where we're going to see eventually, new islands form. Not anytime in our future or generation, but, way down the road here. Eventually, these will be weathered away throughout time, and new chains of islands will occur due to this hot spot. And we're obviously witnessing a lot of that take place here in slow motion, of course, for the human perception of things. But yeah, a lot of deep activity occurring in a swarm there. It looks like we got about 17 earthquakes there of various magnitudes, down there again about 35 kilometers deep. So far as the current volcano, I forgot to leave a link here in the last update, but I will. I promise I'll copy this and paste it there in the updated video description. I want to check out the deformation data here across the volcano, which is still at a yellow and advisory. Still seeing earthquake activity, not so much up here across the summit area, but way down deeper areas below there's still quite a bit. Here's the latest earthquake map here, or at least seismograph stations showing some of that earthquake activity. No major swarming going on here across the summit or the rift zones for now. The deformation data across the area. Let's see what we got here. Still going up. Look at that. That's the past 2 days. Here is the past week. Here is the past month. Now, what do you guys see that's different compared to the previous days back here? We could actually probably go, well, there's the year, there's 5 years, but if we could go back and extend this here to the past 2 months, you would see an obvious stair-stepping ladder event take place, with each event getting higher than the previous one before. This is the eruption back here earlier this month there on the southwest rift zone that lasted for 10 hours. Very weak eruption, not a whole lot of volume of output. It went down a little bit, right? We only lost about a week and a half worth of inflation there, and now we're just going up and up and up. This is way different than the previous typical readings that we would see. It'd be inflation followed up by a period of deflation, and now we're just going up and up and up and up. It's interesting to see where this is going to lead to. I think we should see a magma intrusion event somewhere soon, or an eruption up there across the summit area or the south upper east rift zone region. Still at a highest level observed since 2018. If this goes back to 2018, the eruption there on the east rift zone, right? That was quite more dynamic and dramatic in terms of being quite photogenic there. It's chaotic looking. I remember it. All those fissures opening up out there. And not for sure if we're going to see that again, but obviously with this level of inflation, look at that, quite high. These are meters, right? Look at that. Quite a bit going up. So something's going to take place here soon. The key to watching this is going to be earthquake activity, not this deep earthquake activity. That's the magma areas below that I mentioned that could be recharging this area. So it's possible we could see a surge in the movement out here across the already ongoing elevated activity. So it's going to be interesting to watch. There's the earthquake activity up there across Summit and the upper east rift zone. No huge earthquake swarm, nothing going on here. We'll see a bunch of earthquake activity in a short period before that leads up to some type of eruption or magma displacement somewhere. But right now, we're elevated, quite swollen underneath this area. All right, further out and about here across the west coast, Mount St. Helens there, seen some earthquake activity from yesterday. Nothing to report there for now. Northern California, the Cascadia subduction zone. Looks like we did have another earthquake here this morning, a 2.4, 14 kilometers deep here, just shy of the Cascadia megathrust area. Of course, the tremor activity has been quite high out here in the last couple weeks. There's yesterday's tremor count, about 159, a little scattered out and about here, but the overall trend here in the last 3 weeks, that's when it began here, shows that most of the activity been confined to the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone with, 9,528. That's quite a bit. So continue to keep an eye on that. We'll see what the tremor looks like later tonight. As far as earthquake activity goes, Bay Area seen a handful of smaller quakes, including one off the Hayward Fault here, a little 2.1 from last night. No major movement here to report, though, for the California area for now. And if you look, mostly smaller microquake activity out there. Throughout the Intermountain West areas in Wyoming, looks like, I was checking this out earlier, looks like we got some more wind coming up in here. That is that reading that you're seeing right here in the last few hours. And just for verification, I'll show you guys. They get these storms and the wind keying up out here in the summertime. And yeah, it shows up on these seismograph stations quite nicely. In fact, look at that. We got wind gusts up there in the park above 50 miles per hour, maybe even higher across some regions there of Yellowstone National Park. And, you know, it's pretty obvious to see that these two are related. When the wind picks up, these readings really kick up here. I'm talking about this right here. So expect that. As far as earthquake activity goes, there's not a whole lot. Not a whole lot of earthquake activity at all. And this almost looks like there was some thunderstorm activity out here last night as well. All right, let's get back here to the map. Rest of the country, pretty quiet out there. As far as global activity goes, well, New Zealand down here, a little bit of shaking going on underneath this area once again. Look at this, 4.4 coming in a couple hours ago. Underneath North Island, 224 kilometers deep. It's a major deep earthquake there. And, of course, the Hikurangi subduction zone, a sleeping giant out here. This is New Zealand's major subduction zone, the Hikurangi, and it's capable of producing a megaquake. And like similar subduction zones, like the Cascadia and other areas that may not have seen any large-scale movement in recent times, it's it's waiting. It's building up steam, and no doubt that could pop here at any time as well. I have noticed quite a bit of deep activity underneath this region here recently of the Hikurangi. So got to be prepared. Either way, it's a major seismically hazardous zone there for New Zealand. Further out and about here, some activity across the Indonesia Islands area. Let me pull up the globe, see what we got. Typical clustering going on here. Once again, Taiwan southward. One earthquake here into the Japan area, it looks like. Or north of there. Yeah, Japan area. Well, this has Russia. It's Russia area. 4.3, 9 kilometers deep. Keep an eye on the Hikurangi subduction zone. That's a major subduction area that is, I think, well overdue here for some large-scale movement. And that look how big that subduction zone is. That's reinforced here by the Pacific plate moving off to the northwest. You got the North American plate here, kind of putting the squeeze on this area, and then backed up by the Eurasia plate. So this area doesn't take hundreds and hundreds of years to build up steam for a large earthquake, similar to the Cascadia and the Hikurangi. It does not take that long for this thing to produce a big one. And it's been a little while as far as a full rupture goes out there in that area. Quite a bit of strain built up. Let's see here. Alaska still seeing some movement. A couple twos up there in the Gulf of Alaska here. Rest of the world, as you can see, 5.5 stirring up out here in this fracture zone out in the Indian Ocean. Doesn't look like... Well, yeah, this is going to be this one right here. 5.5 mid-Indian Ridge. Way down here on the bottom. You can see that fracture area out here. Oceanic fracture zone. A little warped looking. That's because of all the strike slip faults in here as well. But, yeah, a little bit of movement out there today. Mediterranean areas. A couple 2s and 3s. No major swarms that I can see. No unusual activity. And 5.4 way down south in the South Sandwich Trench. The Chile area looks roughly about the same. Typical movement out there. Puerto Rico. Got some earthquake activity out here, but no swarming. Just, I guess if you want to call this a swarming, but this is very typical. It's been going on for a couple of years now. You got the Mariotas Trough here in subduction zone north. The Puerto Rico Trench area. It's always getting a squeeze put on it here in terms of this activity that's pretty consistent and ongoing for quite a while. All right, let's see what else we got here for space weather activity. Looks like we're crackling with sea flares, not anything big. Just some sea flare activity, it looks like, mainly from that sunspot of interest. Looks like we're good here, but I don't know why that page was so slow. A little weird. A lot of spikiness going on here, indicating some unstable sunspots there. And that's 3712. That's going to be this area right here. 3712, the latest imagery. Let's see what we got here. Does show... Still got some complexity here growing within it. We'll have to watch this over the next couple days or so while it's facing the Earth. We could see some CME activity from that. Aurora events, well, it looks like we did see a little unexpected aurora event earlier, almost up into the G2 class storm here. It looks like KP index of 5.5 or so. That lasted for a very short period, a little short time there. But yeah, I don't think that was forecasted there. But it did kick up out of the blue. Really nothing forecasted for now. This was not like that last night. This was a green across the board, and they weren't really expecting too much in terms of the auroras. But again, that's going to be, if it did kick up, that was probably across the extreme higher latitudes out there. As far as the next 5 close asteroid approaches here today, pretty distant, fairly distant here, really safe far as these larger ones go. Over 1 million miles, 2 million miles for this one. We do have a 72-foot airplane-size asteroid going to pass within the distance of the Earth and the Moon here, 173,000 miles. But I think we're safe with that. That's asteroid 2024 LZ4. expected to pass this close here tomorrow. Again, within the Earth-Moon area. Approximate size for this one, 91 feet, 150-foot size, airplane size. I don't know, 72 foot. That's a big difference between 72 feet and 150 feet. But this one's going to be about 3 million miles there tomorrow. So for now, we are safe. Let's see what else we got here. Storm Prediction Center, as far as the weather goes, severe weather. Looks like some severe potential out there. They added a 5% chance here for tornado activity in the North Dakota area. Also over here across portions of eastern Nebraska and into the Iowa region, it looks like. Got some wind and some hail threats in there as well. It is that time of year where things start to shift north, but definitely keep an eye on that. Tomorrow's forecast here for Sunday does show some slight risk category up here across the northern plains once again. Not much for tornado, mostly wind and some hail threats. As far as any tropical development goes right now, there's a 40% chance out here off the coast of the Nicaragua area, it looks like. 40% chance of some development. The Atlantic area has pulled us up here. Not really seeing anything yet. No tropical cyclone activity in the next 48 hours. And out in the central Pacific here, Hawaii looks fairly clear as well. Let's check out the model runs here. Now, we've been watching around the 23rd some type of tropical development coming in here to the Gulf of Mexico. There is definitely some moisture coming in to the Texas area. Look at that. These guys are going to get soaked. When I was out there over a week ago, this area of Texas definitely has had a lot of rainfall. These areas across western Texas and up here need a little bit more. So if that could pull up that way, that would definitely help them out a lot. It does look like they'll get some more rain. But far as the 23rd goes, there's that tropical system I was talking about. Compared to last night's run showed it coming into the Louisiana area. Now more off to the south and west. It just goes to show you how quickly these models can change, and not quite accurate this far out. But we'll continue to check the model runs and see what plays out here. As far as any heat domes going on, I know it's going to start cooking over there across the eastern portion of the country. Look at that massive high pressure here in the orange, deep red color. That is a heat dome out there. These guys are going to get some well above temperatures out here in the west coast. Look at that. I think we're supposed to dip back down into the upper 80s here. Below normal for us out here across the Northern California area and a lot of the Intermountain West regions, dealing with some cooler temperatures. Look at that. I am liking that. That's going to be for the, well, we're already starting to get it this weekend, and looks like maybe at least half of next week before high pressure moves back in here, and looks like it wants to take over the entire lower states out here. So see what happens, though. That's a ways out, though. July 1st, that could obviously change. Can't believe we're halfway through the month of June, so got July right around the corner. Seems to be flying by like crazy right now. And again, nothing going on for Yellowstone, just that wind event up there. Seismograph stations, calm, clear, and quiet right now. We'll keep an eye on things. Keep an eye on Hawaii with this renewed deep activity underneath the Pahala area. That could be an indicator here of some increasing concern there across the volcanoes. Again, this article is worth the read. If you didn't check it out, I'm going to copy this and paste it into the update video description. So check it out, okay? Have a good day. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. Enjoy your weekend. It's a beautiful day out there.